Brian Cashman, the Yankee general manager, on with us, and he joins us on the Tri-State Buick GMC Celebrity Hotline. Brian, it's Michael and Don. How are you today?
I'm all right, guys. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I start off with this. What are you thinking when you watch this team lately? I mean, when you're sitting there watching on television or if you're at the game live, what are you thinking, Brian?
I'm surprised. I mean, surprised how we look and how we're playing and how extended it's gone on. I mean, we got out of the gates horribly in April, and then we seemingly finally got it going. But then obviously recently we've gone right back into the tank again, especially offensively, and it's frustrating. It is very frustrating because where we were in this type of team last year in terms of runs scored and the addition of a Castro, for instance, which makes that everyday lineup better, to be where we're at right now is, and watching at times the approach or being a hitter's count and not doing damage, actually, and at times we contact and stuff, it's just a head scratcher because these guys are professionals. They've been through, the ups and downs, but it's almost like a collective, something, has affected this team collectively, and they're all suffering from the same disease, and there's a lot of experience and a lot of ability, and not too long ago it was showing, and for it to have a complete collapse so far like this is it's hard to explain, to be honest.
Now, Brian, it's early, but 52 games is still enough of a sample. So in your mind, when do you go from this is a malaise to this is what we are?
Well, we are going to, continue to fight with it and through it up until, July, essentially. So there is not, too much we can do, with the current roster unless injuries hit. And I think Joe's tried to play around with a little bit of a lineup situation here and there and moving a guy or giving somebody an extra day's rest or back-to-back rest, or, he's certainly trying to play the matchups and stuff to get people going. I know it's hard to say, but I think we're forced to stay the course. The immediate alternatives aren't, available for, all right, let's, sit this guy and, promote that guy and get it going. That's not the current status. So, we're going to continue to fight through it and expect better results, even though it's hard to believe that they would be coming if you're currently watching what's transpiring.
Brian, is there any thought within the front office, a hierarchy that, and I don't think this is the case, but I'm just wondering, Mark Teixeira is 36, Alex is 40, that they could be, starting to be at the end of their careers, or maybe this slump is the real deal. Maybe this is why they're hitting this way, because they might be done.
I mean, it's always going to enter your mind when you're dealing with older players, and then you turn the clock back to not too long ago, which was last year, before August and September hit, that you saw a radically different performance, at least from those two individuals. So, in Mark's case, last year he performed earlier than he normally would or does. He's usually a slow starter. This year he's been a slow starter with some neck issues that I'm sure have contributed to him finding his rhythm. But, I think we all would admit, there is a lot, hey, listen, I'm supposed to be saying there's a lot of season left, but at the same time it's enough is enough. It's gone on long enough, but you run everybody out there and you expect and hope for better days ahead, and you deal and connect with your coaching staff, and whether it's pitching or hitting, they're having better at bats and pregame, or better work and being done behind the scenes, and some adjustments being made here or there. But the only thing that matters is the results, and that has not been there. We've had some hope going on with some guys. Headley was really out of the gates terribly, and then for much of May, he seemed to start turning it around for us, and so we started getting a good feel there. But there's very few guys here really that can hang their head high right now, and that goes all the way through the front office, because we're the ones that put this there. I'm the one that put this thing together and feel very good about what we're watching, because right now it's not something that's easy to watch, because it's not playing up to its caliber, and we don't believe it's to this caliber. We believe it's quite the opposite. But we're right now, that's what it is.
Brian, what about Brett Gardner? We're talking about a guy that really hasn't hit since last June.
Yeah, last year there was a legitimate reason for it. He wasn't communicating, well enough, I guess, with an injury, and that's the way he's wired. But this year, I don't have any specific answer to why. None of us do as to why. Again, that's why it's almost like an infection to the entire offense. It's trying to figure out why almost everybody's suffering from, the inability to be consistently, to the level of their careers. And Gardy, has been, above average offensive performer, for quite some time, and up until, last year where, the wrist became an issue in the second half. He had an entire, winter to rest and, rehab and deal with that. And, there have been no issues or complaints that way, although there have been times where, we've tried to, I think on paper we've wanted to rest guys more so than not, but when there was a period of time when Els, was hurt but not on the DL, it extended, Gardy having to take the brunt of extra playing time and not getting a day off because of, not having that opportunity to have the normal healthy situation we currently have with Gardy, Ellsbury, Beltran, and Hicks, and, Joe can pick and choose and rest a guy one day and stuff like that. There was that period of time where, I think Gardy was overplayed to some degree by necessity just because we had played with a short roster. But I don't have an answer to why he's struggling. He's better than this, and right now the only thing I can hope for is that he is going to, have a better, side of things on the offensive side going forward, and maybe he can turn, last year into, an opposite situation where he finished poorly but started strong, or maybe he's starting poorly and he'll finish strong. That's what we're going to need.
Talking with Brian Cashman, Senior Vice President, GM of the Yankees. I know that the front office and your talent evaluators love the raw potential of Aaron Hicks. But I got to be blunt, Brian. I could see the raw potential, but he doesn't hit from the right side. He takes weird routes to balls in the outfield. He's got a great arm, and he has not hit. Are you guys disappointed in what Hicks is giving you so far?
Well, I think it's hard to individually single anybody out. Disappointed in everybody for the most part, almost everybody. I would say he does hit from the right side. He just hasn't done it this year. Mm-hmm. One of his strengths was hitting from the right side. He's hitting from the left side more this year than so. There's a lot of unique things taking place that are unusual. He was not a finished product when we acquired him. We're excited about his obviously upside and his abilities. We haven't seen that manifest itself out at this stage of the game, and he's going to get the opportunity to continue to grow and see where it takes us. I mean. He did not hit, with a 256 average and 11 home runs last year in Minnesota by accident. And most of that came after, struggling in the beginning, and they had sent him out, and then he came back and obviously finished the season strong. But he's, a part of the entire equation too, where guys are just not performing to their capabilities, trying to find themselves, fight through it, but the results, collectively for him, have not been there.
If Pineda doesn't figure it out tonight, what do you do?
It's been a conversation. I had a conversation with Joe and Larry last week after, his last start about, options and, meaning, hey, does he stay in the rotation? Does he go to the pen? Does he go to AAA? And Joe and Larry, wanted him to take another start and continue to work through it. I know Larry felt he had a great workout between, his great bullpen session between this last start and the one that he's going to take tonight. But bottom line is you can say and do everything and anything you possibly can, which clearly I know they're doing, as is the player, but the results are what's going to matter. So we'll regroup and see how things take hold tonight in Detroit, and see if there's any positives that from his previous outings, because we can't keep going this route, with being put in the hole and well below his ability performance-wise. So he's going to have to do better, or we're just going to have to make some changes there. And whether that means a demotion, whether it means the bullpen, I don't know. But those are options that we have, and those are the dialogue that we've been having, or I've been having with our manager and our pitching coach about it. But he's got tonight's start, and we're hopeful to see better things.
We're in the middle of the Yankee Insider Report, brought to you by PC Richard & Son. We're talking with Yankee GM Brian Cashman. Brian, you've been with the Yankees forever, and you worked under the boss at the height of his power. And, I mean, let's be honest, you would know that somebody would be fired by now with this start after 52 games. Is anybody's job in jeopardy, Brian?
No, and I would disagree on that. I worked for the boss for a long time. There's times, that there would be moves. That was during earlier sessions and earlier days. But we've had teams that are were very loaded and underperforming, and we've never, since I've been GM, had a change in season by a manager or any coaching staff since I've been here since 1998. So I think that I think the narrative of what George was prior, up to Buck Showalter, and what he was after Showalter changed completely. And so if you're talking about the 80s, because again, like everybody else, there's an evolution and a changing of people along the way. So if you're talking about the George Steinbrenner of the 80s, I'm sure there would have been a number of different changes, but I think we learned as he did that type of reactionary stuff, usually did not lead to anything good, anyway, so no, I would say that the boss that I was working for, mostly as the assistant GM, and then the GM side of it, there would be yelling and screaming, and maybe some public commentary, but we would stay the course.
Now, Brian, obviously you have the pulse of the fans, and the Yankee organization wants to please the fans, and the fans have high expectations. They want accountability. They want to know whose fault is it? Why is this team at this level right now not able to hit? Why are they 4 games under 500? If a fan was going to call in and ask you that, what would you say? Whose fault is this, Brian?
Well, it starts at the top, so I said, focus on me, and and we'll continue to try to get this thing right. But obviously, I'm the general manager, and this is our team. There's certainly higher expectations. I can tell you this team on paper is better than the team that we had last year, and we made the playoffs. But this team is not even performing anything close to that. And last year's team didn't finish the season strong. We struggled in the end with injuries and underperformance in August and September. But what's taking place now, again, is it's just hard to explain. And I know that it's a long season, and we're certainly not expecting it to be a quote-unquote long season. So we're hopeful for better times ahead and better play ahead. Again, we thought we were out of this thing, and we're climbing ourselves back into being a team. And it wasn't more than a week to 10 days ago that I think the local and national media are like, all right, here they are. This is what they are, and they've now righted themselves, and they are a relevant team, and probably closer to what everybody expected them to be. But then we've, in the last 10 days, we've gone back in the tank again and digging ourselves a hole again, and it's hard to understand how and why. But we'll keep working with our guys. They're going to keep getting after it. There are no changes to be made. In terms of offensive players, to the most part, because that's the biggest key right now. And we might have to do things at times on the pitching side. We talked about the Pineda thing, but I'd say I'm the GM. I'm responsible, so we'll see if we can get it right and please them. But we know they're not happy. And
a lot of where you're at is to get that championship in 2009. Some of the players that are still here helped you get there. If that's the case, was it worth it? Is it worth being in the situation you are now because you were able to get that ring in 2009?
We don't look back. It's about looking forward. The bottom line is this team, on paper, is significantly better than the way it's performing. And, we got to figure out why. We won a championship in 09, but that's in the past. And I'm not linking any of that stuff to now. I mean, we have older players, but, that you deal with that on a yearly basis. This roster's, we're transitioning to, is one of our younger rosters we've had in a number of years, and I haven't gone how far back it is, but the average age in this roster is significantly younger than any of the rosters we've put forth in a long time. And but the performance levels, even on the older guys, and including the younger guys, are we're suffering because they're better than this, and you just got to go out there and change that play. And it's listen. Last thing I want to do is go on the radio and talk about why we're struggling. I want to talk about how we're gonna finish this thing off to get where we need to be. But right now we're not in that position. We're in a position of trying to right some wrongs they're currently taking place, and collectively everybody's involved trying to do so. But we're just not getting the results we want.
Brian, let me give you some quick hits before we let you go that fans are asking. Why no Nick Swisher? I know he had a bad month of May, and you need a backup first baseman. Why not Swisher?
Love Swish. He's doing everything he can to get back up here. But again, like anything else, he's working his tail off. But I would just say that if we felt that there was someone down there right now, because snapshots change on a weekly to bi-weekly basis. Right now, if we haven't made a move, it's because someone hasn't earned their way up here. And Swish is he's been struggling. He got out of the gates early, but he's been struggling, and and then that's the bottom line. So when we make moves that we make, and I know fans get frustrated with what I'll give you an example. One of the questions earlier on, why when a lot of these guys are struggling, was Aaron Judge. Bring Aaron Judge up. Why don't you bring Aaron Judge? We didn't think Aaron Judge was ready. Even though his numbers look good, but again, there's even stuff behind the numbers, and now Judge has been struggling. He's been in a slump now for well over 3 weeks, and if you look at the numbers now, I don't think people would be asking for Aaron Judge. Now we think he's going to have a chance to have a solid and strong major league career, but we're not in the job of trying to keep people down or prevent people from helping us. We're in the job of putting people up or putting people here or up here in a position to help us and help us win games. But if someone is deemed by all the analytics and the eyeballs, the scouts, the coaches that cross-check this stuff, and they don't deem that someone is better than whatever else we're doing, then there's reasons for it. Now it sounded like you had a few questions.
Well, you answered the second one in Judge. What's the plan for Ref Snyder? He's up here right now. It looks like he's a man without a position, Brian.
Well, I mean, that's I think if you're doing the scouting report on him, he's a guy who can swing the bat, but defensively, he is someone that's trying to find some consistency and improve defense. He's a below-average defender at third. He's a below-average defender at second. He's a better defender at second than he is at third, and he can play the outfield because that was his draft position. So I think you're trying to see our organization put him in a position to be a utility type guy that spells here and there. If it's on the infield, it probably wouldn't be for an extended stay, unless the defense gets better. And it's something he's dedicated and working hard on. And he can swing the bat, and I think we've seen that, in the short spurts, and that's not the issue. But there's both sides of the ball, and so that's what we're trying to cover. So I think you'll see him play. Maybe not consistently, but I think you'll see him play. I think there's a chance that I'm not sure if Joe's posted the lineup today, but I know he was playing around with playing him at second today, and so we'll see. But ultimately, you don't see him playing a lot because the defense is subpar, and so that's why the development side of it, you have time on the clock, and you get them as many reps possible to improve on that, and so you have a finished product maybe in the future that's much improved, where your manager and coaching staff are comfortable playing them then on a daily basis in some position that they can help you win, rather than feel that you don't want a ball hit to somebody and stuff like that. So he's a gamer, he's a competitor, he is an asset. But trying to fit that square peg in a round hole right now is we're trying to round out that square peg so it fits in that round hole a little easier. So.
All right, now I'll finish it with a hot button issue that seems to annoy Joe every time the media asks him after the game, and that's A-Rod. I disagreed with sitting A-Rod 2 straight days in Toronto, because I think if this is going to be turned around, A-Rod has to approximate what he did last year. Do you believe that A-Rod is a 5 or 6 day a week player at this point, and do you think he can approximate what he did last year?
Is he a 5 or 6? I don't know if he's a 5 or 6 day player. I mean, I think from Alex's situation, because of his age, would he benefit from a day or two a week? He might, but he's a DH at the same time, so it's hard to believe that that's going to have so much any type of impact, but he did actually blow a tire, running out from home to first as a DH. So, the age is an issue. His performance levels currently aren't what he or we would like, but do I think he's done? I would be hard to believe that he's done. I think what Joe's trying to do is find, why he's struggling matchups, and that's what a manager's job is to do. And sometimes, when you're searching for things, he gave an off day, and then here comes Hap against us, and Joe saw in his matchups, which I know he's a big believer in, that this is a particular pitcher he struggles mightily against. If I remember right, Eric Milton was a guy that he struggled mightily against too, and so. When you come across those situations with a guy struggling, Joe chose, it was although it was back-to-back days, it was in maybe Alex's and ours best interest to play. Whether that's the right decision or not, we'll never know. We didn't win. We had Hap on the ropes a little bit, but we weren't able to push through enough to be on the winning side that game. So I can't tell you if it was a mistake or not. The bottom line is the thought process is, if it wasn't Hap, Alex would have played that day, so there wouldn't have been back-to-back days off. I don't think there's any intention of limiting Alex's playing time, as we move forward. There's more the thought of this form is going to turn with him. He's too good of a hitter. Even though his skill set might be declined because of his age, his emotional, intellectual ability as a hitter is still far advanced, and he's gonna make hay over time. So we're just hoping that that happens sooner than later. But his playing time is not going to be limited. If it's good for him to get a day off here and there, so be it. But otherwise, he's going to be our DH, and we're going to roll with it.
Are you kind of shocked by all this happening right now? Did you expect? I mean, you never at any point said that this was the greatest team ever built, but obviously you didn't expect this.
No, I mean it's shocking because again the amount of runs we produced last year, and then the roster being in belief improved with the Castro addition at second base. It's kind of hard to see the production that we're getting from all over. That's why it's infected the entire offense, and it's a head scratcher. That's you like the listen when you're riding a wave of positive stuff. It's great. It's infectious, but I guess clearly it can work the other way too. When all goes bad, it can all go bad, and so we're just trying to obviously stop, slow that process down and turn it on so we can get on the other side of the mountain where we can start riding some good stuff again. Again, I thought this was behind us, when we went on the run we did. But, we are right back in it right now. And so we got Boyd tonight against the Tigers, and then we're going to see three good pitchers in Baltimore. And so it's a good hitter's park. I hope it's a good hitter's park for us. Today, we're going to face a left-hander, but he's a young pitcher still finding himself. So, again, these are opportunities for us to hopefully take advantage of. But, at the same time, the way we've been playing, if you're an opposing pitcher, this is the time you want to face us because while we're down. But hopefully that worm will turn again, and we'll be back to swinging it the way we're capable of or close to capable of. But right now, it's again, I acknowledge it's fans have a right to be upset, and it's not easy to watch. And until we get through it and get past it and prove that it's behind us, and it's turbulence time. And we're dealing with it.
Brian, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.